Hi everyone, it's Robin the Delta Crafter, and I want to thank you for joining me for my new video on my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to use rectangle dies to create the window for a display frame card. A couple of weeks ago, Jennifer McGuire posted a fantastic video on how to make a display frame card. That's what she's calling it. That's what I'm going to call it. And so in her video, she used a cloud border to create the inside frame that you see there. And I decided to try to figure out how to use just regular rectangular dies to create the window for my card. So that's what I did. I figured it out, and so that's what I'm sharing with you today. Also, I'm going to be sharing a new Amazon find with you guys that I am absolutely in love with. So let's get started. You can use any stamp set that you own to create this card, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be using the My Monthly Hero May 2021 stamp set from Hero Arts, along with various other Hero Arts products. But this particular stamp set and stamp and die set has an underwater theme, and I just thought it would be perfect for a display card. I'll also be using the Nested Rectangles die set from Hero Arts. I really like this die set because, as you can see, there are tons of dies in that set that gives me great small incremental options. And then the last stamp and die set that I'm going to be using is the Hello There stamp set from Hero Arts as well. And that's what I'm cutting my sentiment with. To make this card, you're going to need 2 pieces of cardstock. I use the Accent Opaque 130-pound cardstock. It's a very heavyweight cardstock that is perfect for a card base, especially for a card like this that's going to be heavy. You're going to need 1 piece that's 10 by 7, and then you're going to need another piece that's 5.5 by 7. To create the frame of the card, we're going to make a series of score lines. The very first score line we're going to make is at the 5-inch mark, and this is on the 10 by 7 piece of cardstock using the 10-inch side. So basically you're cutting the cardstock in half. And then you're also going to make a second score line at 1.5 inches from the edge. Now we'll be working on our 5.5 by 7 piece of cardstock. We're going to be making our scored lines along the 5.5-inch side. We're going to make a scored line at 1.5 inches, and then we're going to flip it around and then make our second scored line at 1 inch. I'm sorry, half an inch from the edge. And if your bone folder slips a little bit, it's okay. Like mine did. It's okay. Just go ahead and continue to line your bone folder up and continue to make your score lines. So now we want to burnish our folds so that everything folds nice and evenly. So remember, you fold into the score lines that you made. So now it's time to bring in those rectangle dies, and this is where the having all the different sizes, the incremental sizes, is really going to come in handy. So you're going to just take your rectangle dies and you're going to size them up along the center panel that we have remaining in the cardstock. And you're going to find a rectangle die that fits your liking, or the size and amount of space that you want to remain, that's going to become your frame, if you will. So I've found one that I really, really like, and notice that it's not large enough to reach all the way across my panel. So this is where using the partial die cutting technique is going to come in handy. So I'm going to put my piece of cardstock with my die taped to it down on my embossing plate. And I'm using the Magic Mat, and this thing is amazing. So notice that my top plate does not cover my die completely, and that's on purpose. So that's how we're going to get the partial die cutting. So now I'm going to show you what the results of that gave me. So I only partially cut the frame of the rectangle out of my cardstock. So now I'm lining up everything for my next pass through my die cutting machine, and I've done that now. And as you can see, I have a perfect rectangle, continuous with no errors, cut out of the middle of this panel, and that is going to make the frame. So this is how you can get the window for your display frame card without having to use specialty dies. So I made a couple of these cards trying to figure all the pieces and parts out. And one of the things that I definitely recommend is for the inside panel, on the 1.5 inch side, you're going to want to trim off just a tiny bit of paper. It's going to make your card lay better, and therefore it'll be able to go into the envelope a whole lot easier. So before we assemble, if you're going to do anything to the background, if you're going to ink or stencil or anything like that, you want to do that before you assemble the card. So here I am inking up my background using some Hero Arts Pool Party Reactive ink. So I'm just laying down some ink on my card. I also used a Hero Arts stencil to give a little bit of movement, like water movement, on the background as well. So when you get ready to assemble this card, you're going to want to use some very strong adhesive. So here I am using some score tape to make sure that my two pieces stick together well, because they're going to be going back and forth a lot, and so you don't want your card to come apart. So make sure you use some very strong adhesive when you are assembling your card. So I put 3 pieces on the bottom, and then I'm going to put 1 piece on the top part. So the part that's going to attach to the top of the card. So that's that. Everything's down, nice and neat. And we're ready to move on to the next step. So I decided I wasn't quite finished with the background. So I've taken my Versamarker and I've used it to kind of draw some additional wavy lines. This is the underwater embossing powder. It came in the kit, in the May 2021 My Monthly Hero kit. So I decided to add a little bit of that to my water because I felt like it needed a little bit of sparkle on it. So I added that to my back panel. And again, this is all a part of making sure that your anything that you want to do to your back panel, you do before you assemble your card. So remember in the beginning of the video, I told you I had an Amazon find that I wanted to share with you. Well, here it is. I purchased a little mini vacuum from Amazon, and I love this thing. It's perfect for picking up glitter and pencil shavings and all kinds of those little craft, little trash and things that we find on our desk that just annoy us, but also can sometimes be hard to pick up and gather. So I'm going to leave a link to this mini vac that I purchased on Amazon. I'm going to leave a link in the description box below. But this thing is amazing at picking up embossing powder and glitter and all kinds of things like that. So after using my mini vac to pick up that embossing powder, I went ahead and hit the embossing powder with my heat gun and was able to melt that embossing powder to get a pretty additional finish to this background. So it's just giving a little bit of sparkle back there on that background. On the finished card, I also used some of the Hero Arts sand embossing powder to give a little bit of an ocean bottom effect to the bottom of my panel right there. I'm using the vacuum once again to vacuum up some of the embossing powder and sparkle there. And you can see it works on all different kinds of surfaces. It's working on my glass media mat, and it worked on my cutting mat as well. Great investment there, and not expensive. You'll see when you click on the link. So now it's time to assemble the card. So what I've done here is that the 1-inch little fold that is at the top, I'm lining that up with the very top of my card base. And so I'm attaching that there and making sure I crease that down well so everything is attached nice and securely. Then I'm going to open up the card and remove the backer from, well, here I am before I do that, just trimming down the paper just a little bit more to make sure everything fits nice and neat. So then I'm going to peel off the backer off of the 3 strips of score tape at the bottom, and then I'm going to close the card, and everything is going to attach perfectly in place. So here I am folding the card, and everything will adhere exactly where it needs to be. So there we have it. Our window frame card is coming together. So let's take a look at what the window looks like. Can you see it? I can. Off camera, I colored, die cut, and attached all the elements that I wanted to add to this card, both on the outside and on the inside. So these images all came from that May 2021 My Monthly Hero Kit. But again, you could use any stamp set that you have to create this. One of the benefits of creating a window card is that it gives you options for creating depth. So I have some images that are attached directly to the back. I have some that are suspended using some acetate, just basic packaging from various products I've had. And then I have some attached to the very front of the window as well. I've also attached some to the front of the card, making sure that I don't glue them all the way down so that the card won't open. Then I used one of the sentiments, "You're Fantastic," that came in the stamp set. And with that, adhering everything down, the card is complete. Thank you for joining me for this video today. If you haven't already, please click the subscribe button below. And also, you can follow me on Instagram at The Delta Crafter. For more information on this craft and others, please visit my blog at thedeltacrafter.com. Until next time, everyone, enjoy!